Chapter 501. When Nash saw that the tip of Luther's sword was about to pierce Melody in the heart, he quickly put Finn, whose chest was covered in golden needles, down. He appeared next to Melody in a flash, grabbed her shoulders, and swung her back. Melody flew backward, landed on her feet, and staggered before she could steady herself. Carson's eyes widened in disbelief. When his martial brother attacked Melody, he was sure that she would be as dead as a doornail. However, he was surprised that someone had rescued her in that tenth of a second. What shocked Carson even more than that was Nash had clamped his martial brother's sword between his fingers. He began to think to himself, How is this possible? Luther is in the profound reality realm. Could it be that this bastard is also in the profound reality realm? But even if he is, it'd be impossible for him to catch Luther's sword so easily. Luther was shocked as well. He guessed based on Nash's speed and ability to catch his sword that it was likely that Nash was in the mid to late stage of the profound reality realm. How old is he? Only 20. How can he already be in the mid to late stage of the profound reality realm? This is absurd, he thought. Nash said in an ice-cold voice, "Hand over the antidote for the 5 poisonous pines, and I will spare your lives." The 5 poisonous pines had 5 types of enigmatic poisons. The first affected the 5 senses. The second targeted the lungs and internal organs. The third affected one's cultivation level. The fourth impacted the spiritual and mental realms. The fifth harmed the original essence and vital energy. The poison was extremely difficult to cure. Nash did not want the situation to be too troublesome, so he had to get the antidote from them. Black Tiger had already gotten into the Bentley and was hiding inside. The white spot owl was completely soaked with sweat. He shivered as he said, "Quick, turn on the air conditioning." During the phone call earlier, David had not dared to say that Nash was there. If Black Tiger knew that Nash was there, he would not dare to bring his men over to cause trouble even if David's life was at stake. It was over for him. It was already unbearable to offend the Zells and Watsons, but now there was Nash too. The Black Tiger Hall. It was about to become history. After the driver turned on the air conditioner, he asked in a low voice, "Black, why don't we run away first?" Black Tiger stared at Luther and shook his head. "We still have the last bargaining chip. If Carson's martial brother can kill." He currently had a net worth of tens of billions. With that kind of money, he could live comfortably anywhere. Even his descendants for generations to come could lead a life of luxury. However, he was unwilling to see the Black Tiger Hall he had worked so hard for go down like that. At the same time, Luther growled, "Which sect are you from?" Nash answered calmly, "Unaffiliated with any." When he heard this, a smile crept onto Luther's face. "You have no sect, yet you dare to be so arrogant. Have you never been taught a lesson?" Nash stared at Luther coldly. "So what?" Luther's expression turned cold. "I'll see just how capable you are." Someone with the strength of the profound reality realm but not having a sect was nothing to be afraid of. Luther had practiced the ancient swordsmanship that the sect leader brought from the Cloud Ascendant Palace. He was certain he could deal with this guy with the power of the initial stage of the profound reality realm. Nash raised his hand and slapped Luther across his face. The slap was like thunder to Luther's ears. His mind went blank. The look in his eyes changed rapidly. It flashed from confusion to shock and to disbelief. Finally, his eyes were filled with fear. He could not believe that he had actually been slapped. He was bound to be mocked by others when they found out someone from the dignified profound reality realm could not even dodge a mere slap. It was even more humiliating that his younger martial brother was there to witness it. At that thought, his eyes flashed with anger. Luther's eyes were filled with fury as he snarled, "I'll kill you." As he spoke, his true energy surged wildly. A complex web of sword energy appeared around him. The long sword in his hand trembled and emitted a sharp and piercing hum. A terrifying intent to kill emerged from him. Nash wondered if this was him preparing for his big move. Nash frowned, raised his hand, and slapped Luther across the face. Chapter 502. Nash's second slap completely bewildered Luther. The sword energy around him disintegrated. His true energy surged uncontrollably, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Nash's attack was too fast. Even with his profound reality realm strength, Luther could not follow it. Nash slapped him again. A few of Luther's teeth fell out. Nash continued to slap Luther. Luther's face was twisted from the blows. He wanted to fight back but realized that the true energy in him was imprisoned by some kind of force. Nash grabbed Luther by the collar with his left hand and slapped him repeatedly with his right hand. Carson watched dumbfoundedly and muttered, "Fight back. Why aren't you fighting back, Luther?" He wanted to go up and help him. However, he knew that Nash's strength was in the profound reality realm and it was several times stronger than the woman from earlier. If he stepped in, it would simply be suicide. Black Tiger's face turned pale. "Drive. Start the car." Carson's martial brother was no match for Nash, and this operation would undoubtedly fail. If he did not leave now, there would not be another opportunity. The driver immediately started the engine. However, in the next second, a gun was pointed against his throat. Zeno was leaning against the car's window, looking at Black Tiger with a half-hearted smile. "Black, long time no see." Mr. Hun." Black Tiger gulped and smirked. "If you let me go, I'll give you $2 billion. $2 billion? Zeno looked surprised. "So much?" Black Tiger nodded and said, "That's right. I'll transfer the money to you right away." Zeno sneered. "You can't think that your life is only worth $2 billion, right? I heard that you made a big deal not long ago and made more than $10 billion. Black Tiger naturally understood what Zeno meant. After a moment of hesitation, he gritted his teeth and said, I'll give it all to you. Just please let me go." Salvatore and Zeno had quite a number of men. Relying on connections did not always work, so now he could only beg for mercy. When it came to life and death, pride was worth nothing. Zeno snuck a glance at Nash and then gave Black Tiger his bank account details. Black Tiger called the higher management in his bank. The $10 billion in his account was transferred completely. Black Tiger's heart was in shreds. After the last sum of money was transferred, he quickly said, "Now, can I go?" Zeno turned and left. At the same time, he gave Salvatore a look. Salvatore immediately led his men to surround Black Tiger. Both Black Tiger and his driver were forced out by Salvatore's people. On the other hand, Carson realized that the situation was dire and was ready to run away. As soon as he reached the entrance of the industrial zone, he was stopped by Melody. After Black Tiger was captured, everyone in the Black Tiger Hall put down their weapons. Hundreds of people crouched against the wall and held their heads in their hands. Luther's face had been beaten into a pulp by Nash, who seemed a bit tired from all the slapping. Nash wiped Luther's blood on him and gently asked, "Do you still refuse to hand over the antidote?" Cough, cough. Luther coughed up blood and mumbled, "There's no antidote for 5 poisonous pines." At that moment, Melody brought Carson over. Carson began to tremble when he saw Luther, who had been beaten beyond recognition. Nash turned to Carson and asked, "Where's the antidote?" Carson shook his head. There's no antidote." Nash snorted coldly. "Do you think I'm that gullible?" His cold aura made Carson struggle to breathe. Chapter 503. Carson was forced onto his knees by Nash's energy. He cried in a panic, "Sir, the 5 poisonous pines is an enigmatic poison. We really don't have an antidote for it." Melody chimed in, "He doesn't seem to be lying. Can you do anything for Finn's poison?" Nash shook his head. "It's going to be tricky." The poison from the 5 poisonous pines had spread throughout Finn's body. The poison could fuse with blood cells, causing a person's whole body to fester. They would die within 3 days. Nash had used his divine needles to temporarily protect Finn's organs and brain. The only way to save Finn was to refine a medicinal pill. He could refine medicinal pills with the divine cauldron. However, he could not control the divine cauldron with his current strength, and he had never practiced refining medicinal pills either. Sighing, Nash turned to walk toward Finn. Melody asked, "What should we do about these 2?" Nash blankly replied, "Eradicate their cultivation, then let them go." He had not gotten revenge yet, so he did not want to offend the Cloud Ascendant Palace. Eradicating their cultivation was good enough as revenge for Finn. The Cloud Ascendant Palace was a well-known and honorable sect. Their disciples came out into the world to help, it was unlikely for them to cause trouble over this matter. Melody activated her true energy and kicked toward Carson's energy center. Carson looked horrified, quickly trying to use his true energy to defend himself from her attack. The energy center was the foundation of a martial artist. Without it, it was the same as taking away half of their life. Carson's strength as a Stage 3 grade Grandmaster was completely inadequate compared to Melody. With one kick, his energy center was completely destroyed as he flew back from the force. When Luther saw his younger martial brother's cultivation being destroyed, he was horrified and could not stop trembling. Melody walked over step by step. Her high heels clicked on the ground. Each sound seemed to pierce Luther's heart. "No, you can't destroy my energy center. If you do, our sect will seek revenge for us." Luther stood up in a panic and mumbled incoherently. Melody stepped forward instantly, delivering a punch infused with boundless power directly to Luther's energy center in his abdomen. Luther's energy center was sealed by Nash's true energy. He did not even have a chance to resist before he flew back and landed heavily on the ground. "Luther!" Carson yelled in agony. Black Tiger's eyelids twitched wildly when he saw the scene unfold. Is this Nash's terror? It seems like every expert is useless in front of him. He trembled in fear. "Oh, David, you screwed my Black Tiger Hall so badly. It's bad enough to offend someone, but to offend Nash, the god of calamity. Mr. Nash, what do we do with the people from Black Tiger Hall?" Zeno walked over to Nash and asked. Nash glanced at Finn lying on the ground and said, "You decide yourself. I want to bring Finn back to treat him." He had used his divine needles to seal Finn's heart veins, but the poison from the 5 poisonous pines had penetrated deep into his bone marrow. If this went on, Finn's bone marrow and blood circulation system would become necrotic. At that point, even if he made an antidote for the poison, he would still suffer from paralysis. To restore order in the Long Lake Industrial Zone as soon as possible, Zeno discussed with Salvatore how to divide the Black Tiger Hall. Salvatore lit a cigar and said, "Mr. Hun, you can decide. I don't care. But my brothers have worked hard without credit." Zeno touched his chin. "How about this? Whoever from the Black Tiger Hall is willing to follow you can do so, and I'll accept the ones who are willing to come with me. As for the territory, we'll split it 30-70. 30-70? Salvatore whipped his head up and stared at Zeno. "Is it not enough?" Zeno frowned. No. It's too much. I just need 20. Salvatore quickly explained. Realistically, even if the people were not willing to voluntarily follow either of them, Zeno could still devour Black Tiger Hall. After all, having someone like Mr. Nash to hold the fort was reassuring to him. Hence, Salvatore was surprised when Zeno had offered him 30%. "All right, let's stop being so dramatic. 30% it is." Salvatore rubbed his hands and asked with a smile. "Then, what about the $10 billion Black Tiger gave you earlier?" Zeno smiled half-heartedly and said, "That belongs to Mr. Nash. Do you want a share of it?" Chapter 504. Salvatore heard that and smiled. "I was joking, Mr. Hun. I was just asking for fun. Mr. Nash has worked so hard, so how could he not get any profit, right?" Salvatore knew that trying to split Nash's money was like trying to pull a tooth out of a tiger. He did not want to be the next Black Tiger Hall. Under Salvatore and Zeno's leadership, some of the people from Black Tiger Hall went to a freight company and the others went to Dragon Tiger Gate. In the HR department of Universal Group, Jennifer sat in her office chair and was talking to Fabian on the phone. She sat straight and upright when talking to this formidable man. On the other end of the phone, Fabian asked solemnly, "Is he not there yet?" Jennifer nodded. "Yes. I've cancelled all my meetings today to wait for him." Fabian was silent for a moment before saying, "Don't worry, he'll show up when it's time." Jennifer asked, "Then what position should we assign him? Is the business department short of people?" "The 8th team in the business department has just been established and is currently recruiting a business manager. Save the spot for him." A smile crept onto Fabian's face. In his eyes, the business manager position was as small as an ant. He planned to let the young master experience the pain the world had to offer. If he did not possess any business skills, It would be impossible to establish himself in Universal Group in the future. Jennifer was speechless. That's not appropriate. He's a chief inspection officer after all. Nash's identity was a company secret. However, Jennifer was the one who applied for his work permit. In Johnford Universal Group, other than herself, Frankie was the other person who knew this secret. Just do as I say. Also, how is the issue with the inspection department being handled? The inspection department just approved the resolution. Mr. Jenkins is in charge, but I haven't had the chance to check on the progress. At Universal Group's headquarters, Fabian sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows and looked at the clouds that were as fluffy as cotton candy. His little fox was wearing a customized outfit with a pink bow around its neck. Its blue eyes stared straight into Fabian's cynical face. Fabian reached out to tug on Foxy's beard. It immediately grabbed his bony hands and bit him. I'll remind Frankie later to save the inspection officer position for Nash, but this matter must be kept a secret. All right, I understand, Mr. Hughes. As soon as Jennifer replied, Fabian hung up the phone. Foxy looked at the door cautiously. A wavy-haired woman in a sexy dress walked in. Fabian frowned and asked, "Who gave you the right to enter my office without knocking?" The sexy woman smiled gently, walked out of the office, then knocked on the door. Before waiting for a response from Fabian, she walked straight in. In Universal Group, only the top 10 people in the House of Representatives had such courage. The woman was Yvette Sherriman, the eldest daughter of Nihon's largest financial conglomerate family. She was proficient in 12 languages, served as a council member in the House of Representatives, and had significant influence in Universal Group. Yvette smiled sweetly and asked, "Did you go to Draconia to see the descendants of the Youngs?" She was fluent in English. It was hard to tell that she was Nihon through her words and demeanor. Fabian placed Foxy in his lap and asked blankly, "Why are you sticking your nose in my business?" Suddenly, Fabian frowned and said, "The assassination attempt in Draconia, did you arrange it?" Yvette turned pale. "How is that possible? When I heard news about it, I was in pieces for such a long time." Fabian sneered. "If it was you, then you'd better hide your tracks well. If I find out it was you, I have 100 ways to drive you out of Universal Group." He could not touch Yvette unless he had conclusive evidence. Chapter 505. If he could find any evidence of foul play, he would use the power of the Foundation against the Sherrimans. Yvette's face turned pale. "Mr. Hughes, you're scaring me. I was just concerned about you." Fabian's lips curled into a smile. "You were concerned? Are we even friends?" Yvette had been with Universal Group for 3 years. Although they worked on the same floor, he had never spared a second glance at her. It was because she was Nihon, so Fabian could not be bothered with her. Yvette bit her lip and said charmingly, "Mr. Hughes, you're so cold to me. We see each other every day. Yet you said that we're not friends. How pitiable it is that I'm so infatuated with you." Oh. Fabian looked at Yvette with interest. "So, what you're saying is, you have a crush on me?" Yvette was slightly startled as she did not expect Fabian to ask this question so directly. When she looked at him, she blushed as she paid attention to his deep, soulful eyes and handsome face. Which woman in the company wouldn't fall for you? Fabian laughed, stood up, and stepped forward to close the office door. Then, he pushed her against the wall, raised her chin, and said, "Since you like me, can I do whatever I want to you?" Yvette turned as red as a tomato. She turned her head and nodded shyly. "If that's what you want, then I'll give everything to you." Fabian slowly lowered his hand that was holding Yvette's chin and slid it down her neck. The tension between them was rising. Fabian was reckless. Yvette moved her hands behind her back and clenched her fists. She closed her eyes, gritted her teeth, and displayed a seductive expression on her face. She was close to tears. It was obvious that Fabian was interested in women. Yvette reconsidered if she wanted to resist his move on her. If she resisted, he would definitely reveal his true colors and pounce on her. However, if she did not resist, there was no doubt that he would take advantage of her. Fabian toyed with her for a while before tucking her hair behind her ear and asking seductively, "Are you sure you're up for it?" Yvette gritted her teeth and nodded. "Yes, I want to. Fabian's lips curled into a sneer. His hand had already slid into Yvette's short skirt. She was trembling inside. Her anger had reached its breaking point, and her true energy was bouncing off the walls. Suddenly, a wave of energy from the profound reality realm filled the office. Yvette's true energy was instantly crushed. In the next second, Yvette felt his fingers slide painfully into her. Her eyes flew open, and her body curled up from the stinging pain. She was filled with burning rage, but there was nothing she could do against Fabian. Universal Foundation's experts were not people she could deal with on her own. She initially wanted to explore Fabian's intentions and simultaneously bring their relationship closer. However, she did not expect Fabian to be so bold. Fabian smiled playfully. I can't believe that this is your first time. Biting her lip, Yvette lowered her head. She did not dare let Fabian see the murderous look in her eyes. Mr. Hughes, is that part of you not working? Are you only going to use your hands? Yvette stuttered. Fabian smirked. It's not that it's not working. It's simply because you don't deserve it. After that, he pulled his hand away from her and wiped it on her chest. The faint blood stain on her fair skin resembled blossoming flowers. Then, Fabian said, Don't ever try to get close to me, or the only one who will get hurt is you. When he was done with her, he turned and walked to the bathroom. Yvette angrily looked at Fabian's back. When she looked down at the blood by her feet, her anger grew. Foxy had been sitting on the coffee table, watching Yvette with its ears raised as if it was wary of an enemy. Yvette took a deep breath before leaving Fabian's office. She decided to go back, reset her mindset, and return tomorrow.